Hello everybody, Dren608 with another turn of the Civil War by Victory Games, signed by Eric Lee Smith. We are going into turn number 12. Things start to turn here where the Union will start getting more reinforcements than the South, and so the South has to husband its strength somewhat. Again, my total strategy here is delay, 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 delay. Try to hold up the Union for as long as possible so that I get a few shortened turns, and I should have enough of a lead in victory point differential to be able to keep. My goal really is to try and keep them under a 50-point differential in turn 17 so that we don't have to play the last two turns. Because usually in the last two turns, the South is so strapped up. If they get a couple of extra sets of commands, it can be all over very quickly. They just march around and just grab everything. But we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, this is turn 12. I'm not sure that I had anything really surprising. Everybody's going primary in the West. South's trying to hang on to Nashville, Vicksburg, and New Orleans, and Union's trying to take them away. And we just got to see how that's going to work. So we, set things up. And then this is me just getting my commands. 7 for the Union, and 11 for the South. Then we go and reset those things for next turn. I spent all 3 naval points in the hopes of being able to get one of those commerce raiders. That was my hope. Didn't work out well. The Alabama got an extra 3 sunks, and the Florida also. So they got a net of 14. So that didn't work well for me at all. I pretty much guaranteed that he's going to get 3 points out of this. Redid their counts on their production. I had picked up a victory point along the way, and I had taken it off from the South. And this is where I started counting 84 victory points, or that they had 84 production. I counted what the Union had taken from them and subtracted from 100. So their imports were down to 106. They're still not suffering, and it's turn 12. They're not suffering any supply effects, which is good for the South because it means they can rebuild depots quicker and stuff like that. And then I just made a note to myself that currently the victory points are at 31. We go into the action phase, and we tied an 11 on the first roll, which was like, holy cow. Now the South wants to have like 1 pulse and end this because that's way too many command points to give the Union. We get a split of 3. I took a free leader in the Army of Northern Virginia. I had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I had 7 leaders, so I was rolling a D10 in order to get my leader. And let me take down this command point chart. And you can see me, I have the leader sitting south of Robert E. Lee because it's probably a promotion counter, and I looked and it was A.P. Hill, so I had to take him and put him over in Army of the Tennessee. And then I built a depot, looks like in the Trans-Mississippi, to keep doing what I was doing with Vicksburg. Then I took another leader in the Army of Northern Virginia. It was the promotion counter, so I went ahead and took out the known lower rank out of the leader pool just to save me from having to do it whenever I pull it. To the Union. And this is where I took Schofield on a merry march to try and go get Meridian, because Alabama already had taken its strength point in Selma and then had railed it somewhere else. So took that. We go on to the next pulse. And it's a 5 to an 8, so we're still at a 3. CSA takes another leader in the Northern Virginia. I need to put this in the middle. And I got Jackson's promotion counter, so now I can try and do something with him. And then Hooker went on his little march. And we tied at 6, so the table use is going to go up to 3. And this is a nightmare for the South, that if this turn doesn't end with a doubles, you know, there's just way too much the Union can be able to do. They took a strength point in the West. And yeah, it cost him more to un-DM Johnston because he can't do it this turn. So I'm just trying to whittle down this army to the point where it's, you know, can't really do much to me. Basically, a massive war of attrition here at Vicksburg. It was 12 to 11, shifted 2 columns, so Union's in a horrible column. Managed to get a D2. CSA got a D2. Sherman can't do better than what he rolled. And JJ can't do any worse. In other words, the result would be a D2 whether I had a 5 or a 6 with the Union. And JJ can't do worse. So Sherman's going to pass one of his and see what JJ wants to do. JJ wants the Union to re-roll. They got a 5, so they're still at a D2. Now, Sherman can... they pass because, like I said, you can't get any worse than a D2 on that table for the attacker when they're at large size, or the defender rather. So, you know, it's just basically we each took 2. We lost. All my guys were 4 3-star leaders, so they were fine in the Union. And D.H. Hill got himself wounded. And TK Smith, TK, it should be EK. I don't know what's wrong with me. I have a heck of a time typing sometimes. And SD Lee was wounded, so you know, he's down to 1 extra leader. And put the Desperation Morales on there for troops. Stewart, what do I have Stewart doing? Oh, Stewart moved into a blocking position on the road to Knoxville. And to next pulse. Army of Tennessee, I cleared off the DM. I think the CSA took a leader in Army of Northern Virginia. And the other one might have gone over to the Army of the Tennessee, I think. Or maybe I put them down in Savannah. That's where it is. 1528. Oh, Port Hudson. Okay. Like, where's 1528? It's down here in the corner. I knew it jumped over here, but I couldn't figure out where it was. It's down here where you see this this little guy here. I wanted to have him available to maybe cross the Mississippi if he had to before it gets cut by the Union. And then we got a 7 here. No. 10 to 4, 6. Okay. So, took a couple of strength points, got the Army of the Tennessee up to full, and then we shifted it down. Because I lost Porter, you'll notice that I just have a whole bunch of Ironsides that can't do anything to help me. I probably should have moved Foot over here earlier, but it didn't. So, CSA had no plus and no rerolls due to its desperation morale. So the Union got the best it could, which was a D3. CSA's net 3. Come on now. And I told him to reroll. I was trying to get where they wouldn't get a... And I got 3 rerolls because I get a bonus one because he's in desperation morale. And I was trying to get for a 1 or a 2 so I wouldn't get... demoralized or whatever, but didn't work. I just made him better. So, he lost 3, I lost 2, and we're all back where we were before. My leader lost check. They're all 3 stars or 4 stars, so I need 2s to hurt them. And then the CSA was fine. And I think I took... the desperation morale off. That's what I did with Sherman. Because I knew that he was going to take his off. Because the West... I think I took a leader. And I took a leader in Lion's Hex. Yeah, put somebody in Lion's Hex. Got rid of that desperation morale on the guys in Vicksburg. And then I had taken Morgan on the Decatur unit when I got my leaders. And if you count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I stopped there, and now I've cut his rail line to Sherman, which is just annoying as heck. Then we had another split. You see I'm actually getting a very long turn here, which is kind of nice for the Union. But I'm still not seeing how I'm getting anything really done. And then I think I moved Morgan again. I just decided to just rampage around and then attack Memphis again. Just for kicks. And his supply actually goes down through Corinth. Actually, he probably could not. No, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 moved into Memphis, right? So he was able to do that. He got a CSA got a D, and they were also D'd, so they have to retreat. The Memphis garrison has been phenomenal against Morgan's cavalry. And of course, the Confederates didn't really use the thing at Madison. They just made sure it was deleted. There's no freebies left for the South. So I think I sent a leader down there to order to bring back the guys in Memphis. I didn't want them to die out. And this is, I made a mistake here. Hooker all this time was actually in supply from the river. And back in the demoralization phase of the previous turn, he was on that navigable river which connects to the Mississippi. So he shouldn't be moving around with the DM marker on him. He should be moving it full, and that's my mistake. It's actually a fairly big one. Tried to get Morgan away. Onto the other side so he would be in supply. And my hopes was that I would get him, be able to spend some points. And the Army of the Potomac just got itself a little bit built up. And we're off to another pulse. Not a big die differential, which hurts the South because they would have loved to have spent 2 points just to pop Morgan back up, but they didn't get it. So I think I'm just reorganizing the river transports into recognizable chunks. So that's me playing games. Took a river transport down to Sherman to give him another point. Then we had did we get a 4-point here? Yeah. The CSA spent 2 on Morgan to get discretionary things to get his desperation morale off. Ocean transports. I must be doing something over here. Let's go see what I'm doing. Oh, I was pulling the stuff out of the fort with foot. And then I put everybody over there in Philadelphia. And we went to another pulse where we're only at 1 initiative, I believe. Yeah, we're back down to these 1s, which helps the South in the long run to keep the Union from doing a lot of things. Built up the Army of the Potomac again. CSA. What I was doing there. I think I just burned some points over in the east. Finally got a die differential of higher than 1. I think I took a free USA leader somewhere. Turned out to be Pleasanton, which kind of screws up the Army of the Potomac because now I don't have a +1 for reaction. So that was actually kind of annoying. And Sherman goes after Vicksburg again, and JJ will defend. Scroll down to that part of the map. Now we're at a 2-1, shifting 2. So things are getting really desperate here at Vicksburg. This long turn is really hurting the South. Union got a net D2, and CSA got a D2. Sherman has the CSA reroll. They get a 2, which is a net of 1. JGA wants to reroll his own to try and get it up to some kind of a D. Does. Sherman has him reroll again, and they stay at a D1. So, and that's because he's on the medium column. That's why he's not as effective. He's not doing like D2s with these die rolls, because he's only in the medium strength column, row of the column. And so, took 1 and got demoralized. Everybody got demoralized. So things are not looking good for the west here. And then I brought Morgan back across. I had to go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm attacking the demoralized force. I'm like, aha, I'm going to get them. And then I rolled. There was no reaction. And then they rolled a 2 plus 2. And I don't know why I gave them a 3. Oh, because they get 2 from Howard and 1 from the guy. So they ended up with a net 5, which was a D. So they're like, yay. And I ended up with a 5, which also D'd him. So, yay. But since I was already demoralized and I got a second one, I have to retreat when you go through the retreat priorities. Even though we have the same result, second demoralization causes me to retreat. So Howard backed up space. And my depot was used up there. And there was a 1-point initiative to the CSA. We go on to another, I got another leader. I think I threw it in the Army of the Cumberland. It looks like, because that's what I see, a new leader sitting there on top. So I threw another leader in there. And then it was a 7 to a 5, which is like a 2. I spent 2 discretionary to get rid of the thing on Sherman, trying to preserve his army. And the CSA spent I think I was adjusting the command points to represent what really should be there. You see me playing around with command points here. So then we got a big split for the Union, which I took a strength point. I think it was my discretionary strength point. Yeah, to make Sherman be at full. And then I cleared Howard and Hooker so that they could both move. And like I said, Hooker actually should not have had to spend those points. He should have been able to move again. So that was, you can see how that would be huge here. because Hooker could have actually crossed over the Mississippi if he wanted, or he could have marched further south. It's kind of annoying that it happened that way. CSA got rid of their desperation morale. And I went and built a fort somewhere. Where did I build a fort? 5007. I believe that's in Ewell space. Yes, I built a fort up by Ewell to hold Goldsboro. And we go to another pulse. And again, it's now a die differential of 2. I really want to blow up the Army of the Mississippi, so I advance. And JJ says, discretion of better part of Valerie, tries to run away and fails. That's 31 shift 2, so Union's +3, 2 rerolls, CSA is +1. I mean, Union can't get any better, that's a D3. And neither can the CSA, that's a D2. Sherman goes ahead and has them re-roll. They rolled a 1. Now that's a no effect because they're, again, on the medium column over here. 4 strength points. And Sherman's on the large column with 12. So, I'm trying to get him to get a D2 or less so that I can have some strength left and make a run for New Orleans. I make a note to myself, that's what I want to do. Union rolled a 4, so they got it down to a D2. Sherman goes for broke. He's trying to get that D3 and fails and only gets a D2. So he lost 2. And we had another 2-point, looks like, differential. So Grant is going after Lee, so let's get over to that side of the board. So here we are, Grant and Lee. Lee's able to react. He's got a fort there, so it's a 2-column shift, so he's like, I don't get any better than 2-column shifts, so I'll take it. +4, 2 rerolls, CSA is +6 and 3 rerolls. Union gets a D3, CSA gets a D2. Grant's happy, obviously, he's winning. So Grant says, reroll Grant. And Grant gets a net 5, which is only a D1. So the minimum the CSA can get is a D2, so having them reroll is pointless. So I'm just going to have Grant try to reroll to get a better number. And he gets a 6. He says reroll, and a 4 is back down to a D2. Grant passes. He thinks that's good enough. He just wants to take some strength points off. Wants to take losses, and so takes a gamble and says, try again, Grant. And Grant gets the lowest number he could, which is only a D1. So that's good. Grant decides to roll his own and gets a 2. So now he's back up to a D2. And that's where we end, because that's the way rerolls work out. So each of them lose 2. They both get desperation morale. And then we have to go. What was I doing? Oh, I was showing that just showing my. Oh yeah, I was going 1, 2 to this rail line up in the north. That then goes off and gets me in supply. I was checking to make sure I was 2 movement points away. That's what that silly move was. And then we go. Now we go down the pike here. I don't know what I'm doing there. really don't know what I was doing there, moving that army around like that. Um, and let's see, what am I doing here? Okay, Lee got himself reorganized along with Grant. Basically, it's like we fought, we reorganized, we're going to fight again. There's a difference of 3 this time. No idea what that is. Foot moved to Philly. And then I spent another point to move the Winnebago down to cut this rail line nonsense, keep that cavalry from running across the river. Excuse me, that was something I should have done a long while ago. Come on. So I moved one to Lee and then railed to Fitchburg. So you see I've got this. I guess I didn't move that ironclad. I must not have had the command point split or something. Because I don't see foot moved as well. So Grant moved up. Took a rail line. And then moved to there. And he chose not to react. And then... Oh, now I do the move to foot. Must be resetting some command points here. I was getting... die differential comes down to a 3, or a 2, or 1. What the heck? Should be a 3. There we go. So I railed 3 strength points to the Army of the Potomac, and we're all out of command points, so the turn will end. And once again, I haven't been able to make a decent move on Nashville. I do have Vicksburg, like, within my grasp, and Morgan's guy is going to die. Now, when Morgan's guy dies, they say cavalry can't take back cities in the rules, so I don't lose control of Memphis just because Morgan's there, which I think is silly, because he'll die in DM and then I'll get back. The march from Richmond went through Fredericksburg, which I had captured earlier by the Union, because it's still enemy territory. It's friendly to them, enemy to the Union. So he just went 1, 2, 3, and like this 1, 2, 3 through Fredericksburg there. So yeah, like I said, I'm delay. And then I'm doing the Desperation Morale, which, again, Morgan goes off the turn track. Table use is up to 28 now. And I think I'm just resetting things over here. Yep. And we're done. So that's turn 12 out of 19 turns. The CSA is hanging on by its fingernails in Vicksburg, which means they'll, with one strength point, unless they get to go first, they will be annihilated. And the hope is that they can go first, run away, and try to, get down to New Orleans where they can stand for at least 2, maybe 3 combats, and then, it's just, that's all I've got at this point. It's just, if I can hold on for a couple combats and keep them out of New Orleans for like turn 13 and maybe even turn 14, then they won't cut the Mississippi until like turn 14 or 15, and that means they don't have a lot of time to go rampaging across, Alabama and Georgia and stuff, because the army in Nashville is like next to untouched. The army of the Tennessee is 15, Cumberland's at 20, but I can't. It's like I only ever have enough on a split to go one way or the other. I can't do like attack at Nashville, attack at Vicksburg, and attack Lee. I just can't get that off. I haven't had the splits really to pull that off or when I did get them, I didn't have the command points in the right place. So that's the way this game plays sometimes. It's just like who gets the splits when. Anyway, that's turn 12. I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. I will respond to comments. I did fix this problem with Sedgwick down here. I should have fixed the problem with Hooker, but I don't think I ever did. So, my bad. That gave the South an edge here. Because Hooker, having been able to move 4, he would have been able to go into Madison and be out a hex. Because from Little Rock he could have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, and then gone 1, 2, 3, 4, and then actually be on his way to Camden. He'd be an extra hex along his advance route, and I just didn't do it. So, if you like I said, if you like my videos, please subscribe. Until I see you next time, stay safe and bye-bye.